to me, I think the name says it all. It's really a lot about taking care of yourself. I think as women, especially, we feel obligated to take care of other people a lot. So our families, our careers, our friends. And I think that's a really good thing about the feminine spirit, is that we are so giving and we are so caring to other people. But at the same time, it's really hard to take that time to take care of ourselves at the end of the day. And I think that course, if you look at some of the modules in the course, they're all about taking care of yourself. There's self-nurturance, self-acceptance, self-love. Everything about that course is really taking all the energy that we put into the things around us and also reflecting it back on ourselves, because we deserve to be happy, and we deserve to, take care of ourselves as well. So that's really what the course, I think, is all about. So Charlotte's put together a really interesting kind of mix of everything. So she starts each module off with a little lecture where she really gives, I think, her perspective as a licensed psychologist and her years of experience with working with people who really need this, what she thinks kind of on a more professional perspective, right? And then she has a little experiential exercise, which is really great for people who need to feel it, to understand it. Because for me especially, I listen to the lectures and I'm like, oh, that's great, but how do I implement this? What do I actually do in my life? So she has these little exercises where you can really practice self-love and self-acceptance, etc. And then she has interviews with other professionals and other people who are exactly like me, other people in the community who just, they're similar in age to me, or they have similar backgrounds. And it's really nice to be able to see, like, hey, you can do this. You can be loving. You can love yourself. And you can have a thriving life just like all these other people did. And we're really trying to build it out as a community as well. So there's like a Facebook group where members can kind of chat with each other, share their struggles, share their ideas as they're kind of going through the course. So it's kind of a blend of, I think, Charlotte's own professional perspective and learning, and then also putting into practice as well. So that's really great. I remember very specifically one video that she showed me about how women in particular like to compete on an emotional or an intellectual level with other women. And that's something I've always done with my life. I've kind of taken it as a given. Oh, I'm just type A. I'm just tend to be competitive. And she explained it actually as when people are competing with each other, it's actually because we're scared of being vulnerable and receiving as well. And that just changed my whole perspective on how I acted. When you grow up with something, a trait about yourself that you think is innate and unchanging, and it's always just going to be how you are going to be, and then you see somebody explain it in such a very different way. And she says, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she explains, like, this is really the underlying mechanism of why we compete. It's not necessarily because we want to compete or we want to have a stressful life in competing, but because we're scared of, receiving and understanding, the good in you and the good in me, and we don't have to compete. So I think a lot of Charlotte's videos while I'm going through the course, she just explains things in such new light that you kind of, it takes your perspective and it changes it a little bit. So now whenever I see myself competing with somebody or actively bringing out those old traits, I remember what she said. And it gives me some time to really think and reflect and say, hey, do I really want to be doing this? Or is there a different way? Am I really trying to hide, another fear or something else about my past that I want to be working on? So I think it's just allowed me to be more reflective as I move through life. So in my previous career, I actually worked in investment banking, management consulting, just very cutthroat, very stressful careers. And, back then I actually prided myself on being very competitive, very cutthroat, very sharp, very bit crass. And people wear that in that industry. You wear it like a badge of honor. You say to each other, oh, wow, well, I just worked a 100-hour week last week, and I did all this other stuff, and this is what makes me awesome. So there's a lot of time spent, I think, in trying to give an impression to others that, you're the best, you're awesome, but you don't really take a lot of time to do self-care. And I remember very clearly my first year when I was working, I was running a fever of 103. And my managing director said, we really need you in the office now. It's a really big opportunity. We picked you out of your entire class to work on this project. And I was personally saying, No, absolutely not. I'm sick. I've had a really stressful week. I really want to take this time to care for myself, both physically and mentally, because I was really stressed out and really burnt out from that week. But I went in anyways. And I think throughout my life, this has been a recurring pattern. Just I'm the type of person who likes to put a lot into other things, but not myself. So I'll put myself really deeply into my career, into impressing other people, into, caring for my family. And some of those are good things, some of those are bad things. But I really neglected myself. And after meeting Charlotte and really going through this program, I've realized, it's not a selfish thing to take care of yourself. There's so many aspects of our own personality that really need care in order to grow and to thrive. And when we thrive, we also help everybody around us thrive as well. And I just never really thought about it that way. So I think nowadays I'm a lot better about saying no to things that, I try my best to try and take care of other people, but at the same time, realizing that if I don't take care of myself, then I really can't help other people around me. So it's been a journey, I think. I think it's difficult for somebody who's kind of lived their entire life bragging about how, magnanimous they are and how much they've done, to say, take a step back and say, no, I can't handle that. I really need some time to myself. And to understand that that's not a selfish thing and that's not a bad thing, but it's something that we really need as humans. I think for me, the course is, it's living material. I think a lot of people, when they enroll in online courses, this type, they'll go through all the lectures, they'll watch the lectures, read the transcripts and say, okay, well, that was cool. I finished a course. I finished my 10 lectures. Yay, go me. And then they kind of forget about it. But I think the way that Charlotte has built the material is she makes suggestions for daily life. She puts a lot of good everyday examples of how you can really implement it. So I think for somebody who's going through the course who may be a little bit on the fence, I like to say that this is a course that really grows with you as you move through the 10 modules. And it's really meant to be kind of a 10-week course. Some people move through it a little faster, some a little slower, whatever pace works for you. But as you move through the material, it's set up in a way that it builds very progressively. So you start out, the very first module is self-love. As you go along, you learn about acceptance and not caring what others think. In the very end, she speaks a little bit about spiritual perspectives, not necessarily a religious perspective, but understanding, what is our place in the world and how can we contribute to it. So it starts out kind of small and it really builds up. And I think if you're really dedicated to the course, it will change many aspects of your life. Not necessarily just self-love, but also how you interact with other people, and how you see other people and how you see yourself in relation to the community that you're in. So I think for people who are really willing to delve into that material and take it all in and practice it, it does change your life. I think as human beings, and especially as women in particular, we deserve to be happy and we deserve to thrive. And I think this course really helps us understand ourselves and understand the world around us so that we can be our best selves.